The ship was old, worn out from years of long journeys, but it had always served well. On this day, it carried a small crew across rough waters for an important mission. Suddenly, a loud grinding sound echoed through the engine room. Sparks flew from the machinery, and smoke filled the corridor. Everyone froze, fear and panic spreading quickly. The engineers rushed to inspect the damage, shaking their heads. "This ship is beyond repair," one of them said, his voice heavy with worry. The crew looked at each other, faces pale. They had traveled far, depending on this ship to get them home safely. Losing it now seemed impossible to overcome. But in the midst of the fear, one person stepped forward. Calm and determined, they refused to accept the doom in the air. They walked through the smoke, examining every broken pipe, every twisted metal panel. Their mind worked fast, trying to find any solution that could keep the ship alive. Time was slipping away. The waves grew rougher, and the wind howled outside, testing the limits of the damaged vessel. The crew watched silently as their leader refused to give in to despair. "We might be able to fix it," they said, more to themselves than anyone else. The others exchanged doubtful glances, but held on, hoping for a miracle. In that moment, the ship's fate rested on ingenuity and courage. Tools were limited, and replacement parts were nowhere to be found. But the determination to survive burned brighter than the fear. Every eye in the engine room followed the movements of the determined crew member, silently willing them to succeed. The challenge was immense, the situation desperate, but the spark of human creativity was about to shine. Something extraordinary was about to begin. The damage was worse than anyone had first thought. Pipes were bent, wires were frayed, and the engine barely held together. The crew stood back, unsure of what to do next. They had faced problems before, but nothing like this. The ship seemed ready to give up completely. But the determined crew member did not step back. They walked slowly through the engine room, touching each part, looking for a weak spot that could still be fixed. They realized that normal repairs were impossible. Spare parts were far away, and waiting for help was not an option. The situation forced creativity. Every broken pipe, every crack in the hull, became a puzzle to solve. The crew watched silently as plans formed in the mind of the determined worker. They considered every tool, every piece of material they had on board, trying to imagine how it could be used. The crew member paused, holding a roll of duct tape. Others shook their heads, thinking it would not help. But the spark of an idea had already lit up in their mind. They started mapping out a way to patch the leaks, hold broken parts together, and keep the engine running just enough to move. Every decision had to be precise. One mistake could make everything worse. Fear was still in the air, but so was hope. The crew could see the focus, the calm confidence that came from knowing that giving up was not an option. Slowly, the impossible began to feel possible. The ship had been written off by everyone, but not by them. The clock was ticking, but their hands were steady, and their minds sharp. Step by step, a plan was coming together that could save them all. Human determination was about to turn the tide against disaster. The crew member began the repair with determination. They carefully unrolled the duct tape, thinking about how to hold the broken pipes together. Every patch had to be precise. Too tight or too loose, and it would fail. Sparks flew occasionally from the damaged wires, but they worked steadily, ignoring the danger. The rest of the crew watched, some holding their breath, others quietly helping by handing tools and materials. Slowly, the first leaks were sealed. The tape held, surprisingly strong, and the engine shuddered to life with small, steady movements. The crew's hope began to return. Encouraged, the determined worker moved from one problem to the next. Holes in the hull were covered, pipes were taped, and weak sections were reinforced. It was not perfect, but it was enough to give the ship a fighting chance. Every step was a challenge. The wind rattled the damaged panels and waves crashed against the sides. Yet the crew member did not waver. They reminded themselves that human ingenuity often comes alive in impossible situations. Every patch, every fix was a small victory, a proof that determination could overcome doubt. Some crew members began to cheer silently as the ship responded. Small successes built confidence, and the team slowly started believing in the plan. The duct tape, simple and ordinary, became a symbol of hope. It was amazing how a small, simple tool, guided by a sharp mind, could make the difference between failure and survival. Hours passed, but the work continued with focus. Sweat dripped, hands were sore, but the sense of achievement kept the worker going. The ship, once thought to be finished, was moving again, inch by inch. It was not perfect, but it was alive. Human courage and creativity had turned what everyone thought was impossible into a chance to survive. The patched ship slowly moved forward, testing the repairs under real conditions. Waves hit the sides hard, rattling the panels and making the duct tape hold under pressure. The crew held their breath as the engine shuddered and groaned. Every second felt like a test of endurance. Every small success was a victory. The determined crew member carefully watched the gauges and listened to the engine. Every sound, every vibration was important. If anything failed now, the ship could be lost. The crew, assisted by tightening straps, checking for leaks, and offering encouragement. Their trust in the worker had grown, and together they faced the challenge. Suddenly, a large wave hit, causing the ship to tilt sharply. Water splashed over the deck, and for a moment, it seemed the repairs might not hold. The worker acted quickly, reinforcing a critical joint and securing a loose panel. The ship steadied. The crew exhaled, relief mixing with adrenaline. They realized that determination, quick thinking, and teamwork were what kept them alive. Step by step, the ship began to respond better. The patched pipes held, the hull remained secure, and the engine grew more stable. The crew began to move with renewed energy, helping where they could. The simple duct tape had done more than they expected, holding together what seemed impossible. The human spirit, combined with ingenuity, turned a desperate situation into a real chance at survival by the end of the day. The ship had proven that it could move safely, at least for now. The crew member wiped sweat from their brow, tired but proud. They had faced fear and uncertainty, and their effort had paid off. The ship was no longer a hopeless wreck. The test had shown that human courage, cleverness, and persistence could make the impossible possible. The crew began to hope again, ready to face whatever came next. The ship moved steadily now, its patched systems holding strong. The crew had worked tirelessly, and the determined worker stood back, surveying the results. There was exhaustion in every face, but also a sense of pride. What had seemed impossible just hours ago was now reality. The ship was alive and moving, thanks to human skill, patience, and clever thinking. The crew shared quiet smiles, relief washing over them. They had faced fear, uncertainty, and the danger of a failing ship, and they had overcome it. The duct tape, a simple tool, had become a symbol of their ingenuity and persistence. Each patch was a proof that even small, ordinary things, when used creatively, could achieve extraordinary results. The waves still challenged the vessel, but the repaired sections held firm. The engine, once nearly lifeless, now hummed steadily, a testament to careful work and determination. Crew members moved with renewed confidence, checking systems and reinforcing where necessary. But mostly they watched in amazement at what had been accomplished. The journey continued safely, and the crew realized that they had learned something more valuable than any mission could teach. They had learned that human courage, creativity, and teamwork could overcome the direst of circumstances. The story of the ship that was beyond repair would be remembered. A tale of survival and triumph. As the sun set on the horizon, casting golden light on the patched vessel, the crew felt a quiet victory. They had faced the impossible and had turned it into success. The determined worker smiled, knowing that giving up had never been an option. Their ship, once written off, now sailed steadily forward. It was more than a repaired vessel. It was proof that when humans refuse to surrender, they can achieve remarkable things. The mission continued, and the crew moved ahead with confidence, ready for whatever challenges the future might bring.